Okay, so this is Letitia James. You probably haven't heard about her by now, but you will. So remember her face and remember her name. Letitia James is the new New York Attorney General. Now, you're going to hear about her because Letitia James says that she plans to launch sweeping investigations into President Donald Trump, his family, and anyone in his circle who may have violated the law once she settles into her new job next month. Now, she's already in her job. This article was written December 12, 2018. Letitia James is going to be the Democrats' new pit bull. She's going to be the one who you see plastered all over the fake news as the one who will bring Trump to justice. She is going to be prosecuting Trump and investigating Trump at a state level as opposed to a federal level. This is important because the Mueller report has already shown that Trump has done nothing wrong. Now they've moved on to obstruction. Nothing will come out of that. So instead, they're going to focus on the Trump organization, the Trump family, and anyone associated with the Trump family, because the Trump organization is based out of New York City. So, remember her face. Just elected Letitia James, who takes office next month, tells NBC she will probe real estate deals, Trump Tower meeting, emoluments, Trump Foundation, and more. We will use every area of the law to investigate President Trump and his business transactions, and that of his family as well, James, a Democrat, told NBC News in her first extensive interview since she was elected last month. We want to investigate anyone in his orbit who has in fact violated the law. So again, the New York State Attorney General is going to be investigating the President of the United States of America. Remember that face. You will be seeing a lot of her in the coming months. I am going to tell you a little bit about this lady and uncover some stones, do a little intro 101 on who she is, what she stands for, what the media won't tell you about her, and generally just point out that she is yet another platinum card-carrying member of the swamp. She's a Democratic rat. She's a political pawn. And for all intents and purposes, she's just another fool who thinks that she has what it takes to defeat Trump. And if not that, then she will, as a result, become one of the most recognizable and powerful state attorney generals in the country. Make no mistake, this woman was intentionally chosen. Don't be surprised if you see her, not only as the Attorney General of New York, but running for higher positions such as Senator of New York, Governor of New York, a congressman representing a House district. Don't even be surprised if you see her running for president one day. She is laying the groundwork for big things right now with the help of some very powerful people. People such as U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch. So she's taking cues from some other smarmy deep state rats. New York is home to the president's namesake business, the Trump Organization, and is where Trump's presidential campaign was headquartered, and his re-election campaign as well. It is where a number of key events under special counsel Robert Mueller's microscope, such as the controversial June 2016 Trump Tower meeting, took place. All of that falls within James' jurisdiction. Now, it's important to remember that this was actually written before the Mueller report came out, so this is kind of an indication of where the Democrats were going. They already had a plan B, because they knew that the Mueller report wasn't going to turn up anything about Russia collusion. They already knew that they were going to move on to obstruction, and that probably wasn't going to work out either. But they had already planned that she would be the next Mueller. She would be the next pit bull, the next attack dog that they would sicken on Trump. And why that's important is because it's already been found out that nothing happened at the Trump Tower meeting. Look, right here, James campaigned on passing a bill to change New York's double jeopardy laws with an eye on possible pardons coming out of the White House. So what she wants to do, she wants to pass a law in the state of New York that bypasses the double jeopardy clause, which is the fucking Fifth Amendment to the United States Constitution. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life and limb. Meaning you can't be tried twice for the same crime. Whether it's federally or state, you can't be tried twice for it. But she wants to bypass that. She doesn't like that that's a constitutional amendment. She doesn't like that that exists. It doesn't suit her needs. So she knows, she anticipated, her handlers anticipated that if Trump was quote unquote let off the hook for his quote unquote federal crimes, that they would just say, okay, well, let's just try it at a state level. And even if they don't accuse him of anything, even if they don't convict him of anything, it's simply the act of dragging his name through the mud, of tarnishing his legacy, of delegitimizing his presidency. That's really the true poison here. Because we've now come to an age where everything is trial by media. And even if you don't impeach him, even if you don't convict him of anything, if you just slander him long enough, you can convince the people that he's actually done something wrong, and you increase your chances of winning in the next election. These people aren't stupid. They might be smarmy, disgusting slime balls, but they're not stupid. They're out for power, they're out for money, and they'll do whatever it takes to get it, including violating the Constitution of the United States of America while pretending to be a champion for it. So let's talk a little bit about Letitia James, the New York Attorney General. Here's the New York City Campaign Finance Board. It's a state website. And on here, it's Letitia A. James, running as a candidate for Attorney General. Party enrolled, Democratic. This is what's funny. The top 3 issues: protect New Yorkers for Donald Trump, protect New Yorkers from consumer abuse, and take on powerful interests. Let's talk about the first one. Protect New Yorkers from Donald Trump. Well, you would think that that would make sense as an Attorney General to protect your people, or to protect your people from an existential threat. But see, the existential threat is not Donald Trump. The existential threat right now is actually other New Yorkers. So instead of focusing her time on Donald Trump and just being a political hack, what she should do is she should focus her time on protecting her constituents and her people from her own people. Let's take a look at these New York Police Department crime statistics. Now, this is in the city of New York, which she has been she has been a politician. She's been a councilwoman, she's been assistant to state senator, she's been assistant attorney general. She's been a politician in the city of New York for about 26 years. 25 to 26 years. I think she started in 1994. So what you see is everything under her. So when she says that she wants to help her people, she's not talking about this. 2019, 87 murders, 569 cases of rape, 3,535 cases of robbery, 5,839 instances of felony assault, 3,081 instances of burglary, 12,224 instances of grand larceny, 1,305 instances of grand larceny auto, 234 shooting victims, 209 shooting incidents, 432 rapes, 25,556 instances of petty larceny, 12,930 instances of misdemeanor assault, 1,328 instances of misdemeanor sex crimes. And that's just in 2019. These are the things that she should be focusing on. But instead, what is she going to focus on? She's going to focus on attacking Trump and his policies. This is right from the campaign website. This is how she's going to protect her people, as she stated. Protect New Yorkers from Donald Trump. How is she going to do that? Well, first she's going to protect immigrants' rights. 1 in 5 people in New York State is an immigrant. While Trump's anti-immigration policies harm all immigrants, they particularly impact children, poor people, and refugees, while undermining the very system of judicial process that protects us from tyranny. Now, it's funny because she says Trump's anti-immigration policies. This is what they do. Trump's not anti-immigration. Trump's anti-illegal immigration. And you know why we know that she knows that? You know how she's going to start protecting immigrants' rights? And we know that it's illegal immigrants, not immigrants? Is because she wants to ban ICE from New York courthouses. She wants to ban ICE from New York courthouses because ICE is so evil that they're rounding up illegal immigrants at courthouses and houses of law and arresting them and beginning their deportation process. I mean, go figure, right? People like this, MS-13 gang members. Just take a look at these cases, just in the past month. MS allegedly stabbed teen 100 times for wanting out. MS-13 gangster killed a man for wearing Peyton Manning jersey. MS-13 members planning to target city cops. So when she says that she's protecting her people, she's protecting immigrants' rights, these are the people that she's protecting. Department of Homeland Security, 23% of all federal prisoners are illegals. So when she bans ICE, she's protecting the illegals. 23% of all federal prisoners are illegals. We just looked at those crime statistics. These are the people that she wants to protect. Not the tax-paying citizens of her district, not her actual legal constituents. She wants to protect the illegal people, the ones who come here illegally, who have no regard for the laws. Some more statistics of illegal immigrants. In comparison, non-citizens are 8.4% of the adult population. Of this 8.4%, about 4% are illegal immigrants, and about 4% are legal immigrants. Meaning, legal immigrants, they're still not citizens. They've just crossed the border and applied for asylum. Now here's some data on those non-citizens, those illegal immigrants. Areas where non-citizens account for much larger convictions than 8.4% of the adult population include 42.4% of kidnapping convictions. Now these are the statistics of the 8.4% of illegal immigrants. They commit 42.4% of all kidnapping convictions, 31.5% of drug convictions, 22.9% of money laundering convictions, 13.4% of administration of justice offenses, 17.8% of economic crimes, larceny, embezzlement, fraud, 13% of other convictions, bribery, civil rights, environmental and prison offenses, 12.8% of auto thefts, 9.6% of assaults, 8.9% of homicides, 7.5% of firearm crimes, 4.1% of sex crimes, 3.3% of robberies, 4.5% of arsons. They commit that percentage of all the crime, and yet they make up 8% of the population. Bad hombres. That's why we want a wall. That's why we want border security. That's why we want identification. That's why we want to get rid of sanctuary cities. But these are the people that Letitia James wants to protect. Not her constituents. These people. And when she's not protecting illegal immigrants and the violence that they commit, She wants to challenge the Muslim ban. Even though it's not a Muslim ban, it's a ban on people entering from dangerous Muslim communities where radical Islam is prevalent, where the majority of people are okay with Sharia law. Speaking of Sharia law, here's a picture of a Muslim community patrol. This is real, and this is in New York. Social media is ablaze with the latest police cars patrolling New York City. While they look remarkably like New York City Police Department cruisers, there is a stunning difference. The Ford Taurus, painted white with blue trim and blue lettering, doesn't have the same words as a standard police car. No shit. It is in fact a Muslim community patrol vehicle. Yep, Sharia compliance comes to New York. That's exactly what this is. It's Sharia law in America. And she's okay with that. She's very, very okay with that. Here is Letitia James at a rally with Linda Sarsour. I stand with immigration, she says. Care for all, someone holds in the background a sign. She gave a speech at this rally on July 2nd, 2 days before the 4th of July. I think it was 2016 or 2017, I'm not sure. And let's just take a little look at some of the transcript. If you honor the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, if you honor the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, remind you, this is coming from the person who has complete disregard for the Fifth Amendment, which is the Bill of Rights. Then you have an obligation. Whenever you see a government that is lawless, you have an obligation and a duty to resist. You've got an obligation and a duty to fight back. To protect the marginalized community and vulnerable community, we've got to protect those who they are coming after. We've got to stand with them, rise them, and let them know that this is the America that we love and we'll fight for. Look at the rhetoric that she uses. Resist, fight. We are a city made great by the blood, sweat, and tears of immigrants and refugees. No, we're not. We're a country made great by the sweat and tears of citizens. Immigrants who became citizens lawfully. Refugees who applied for asylum lawfully. Not illegals. Not Sharia compliant barbarians. And we will not close our borders. We will not close our shores. We'll see about that. New York City is an immigration town and a sanctuary city, and we will protect that right. We will protect a right to protect the rights of non-citizens over you, the citizen, is what she's saying. She goes on and on about standing up against the hate of the government. Mr. President is a tyrant. You have to protect your country. Say it loud and clear. Immigrants are welcome. Blah, blah. This is nothing but a Muslim ban. A Muslim ban, she says again. So we need to say that Muslims are Americans too. I mean, you're not an American until you're an American. It has nothing to do. If you're an American, you're an American. If you're not an American, you're not an American. It's just a blanket statement saying that Muslims are Americans too. That doesn't make any sense. And they need to be treated with respect. They need to know that the law covers them as well. It doesn't cover you if you come here illegally. It doesn't come here if you are not a citizen. You know, you're not given the same rights as a citizen is. That's sorry. Sorry, not sorry. We continue to resist. And here we go. Here's some cultural Marxism right here. And on the 4th, instead of going to a barbecue, go to JFK. Instead of fireworks, instead of taking a day off, sitting by the beach, lying in the sun, go to JFK. Let everyone know that we stand for something. We stand for un-American ideals. We stand for destroying our culture and instead importing a barbaric culture. That's what we stand for. Cheers. As the crowd goes wild. Letitia was followed by the keynote advocate for insurrection, Linda Sarsour. So this, again, remind you, here she is fighting for the rights of what she calls refugees with Linda Sarsour, someone who she clearly has admiration for. Now, Linda Sarsour used to be a member of the New York Arab Advocacy Group. The Arab American Association of New York, I'm sorry. That's the organization that she used to be the executive director for. Now, what's funny about this is the Arab American Association of New York lists the Qatar Foundation International second on its whole site's list of supporters. The foundation is linked to the Muslim Brotherhood, including the Hamas-supporting Sheikh Youssef al-Qaradawi and the Islamist-allied Qatari government. So, Linda Sarsour, the executive director of the Arab American Association of New York, is funded by the organization that is funded and linked to the Muslim Brotherhood. Qatar Foundation is closely linked to the Qatari government, which former U.S. Treasury Department terrorism finance analyst Jonathan Schanzer describes as the ATM of the Muslim Brotherhood movement and its associated groups. So again, she's funded by the same government that funds the Muslim Brotherhood. She is associated with the Muslim Brotherhood, and Letitia James is associated with her and her ideals. Well, let's talk about the Muslim Brotherhood for a second. 1991 Muslim Brotherhood Memo of Understanding in North America, Civilization Jihad. Source 1991 Muslim Brotherhood Memo of Understanding in America. The Muslim Brotherhood Strategy for North America. Work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within. The following is based on May 22, 1991 document discovered by the FBI. The process of settlement is a civilization jihadist process, and all the word means that Ikhwan, Arabic for brothers, must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad to eliminate and destroy the Western civilization from within, and sabotage its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers, so that it is eliminated and God's religion is made victorious over all other religions. Without this level of understanding, we are not up to the challenge and have not yet prepared ourselves for jihad. It is a Muslim's destiny to perform jihad and work wherever he is and wherever he lands until the final hour comes. And there is no escape from that destiny except for those who choose to slack. So this is an actual internal memo given to members of the Muslim Brotherhood that was uncovered in a 1991 raid by the FBI when they were raiding a safe house of Muslim Brotherhood terrorists in the United States of America. And their manifesto, their guidelines for infiltrating America is clearly outlined. In order for Islam and its movement to become a part of the homeland in which it lives, stable in its land, noted in its land, rooted in the spirits and minds of its people, enabled in the life of society, and has firmly established organizations on which the Islamic structure is built, in which the testimony of civilization is achieved, the movement must plan and struggle to obtain the keys and the tools of this process and carry out this grand mission as a civilization jihadist responsible, which lies on the shoulders of Muslims and on top of them the Muslim Brotherhood in this country. And this is the goals right here, page 4. It's pretty much what we've already gone over. Destroy America from within. This is, I'm showing you the actual page from their actual manifesto. So you can pause the video, you can screenshot it, do whatever you want. But this is the Muslim Brotherhood, and this is what they believe. They believe in destroying Western civilization from within by using its freedom of speech, its freedom of religion against it, and to wage an international jihad. So this organization, the Muslim Brotherhood, who want to destroy America, is funded by the same government that funds the Arab American Association of New York, And, and, and all of these societies and organizations they fund, they're fronts. They are money laundering organizations used to brainwash, to propagate their message and disseminate it within the American community. These are their barracks of misinformation. And they have many others. But as you'll see, the Arab American Association in New York wasn't yet listed on this. This was in 1991. So, these are the people that Letitia James sympathizes with. Terrorists, hate mongers, those who wish to see the end of our way of life and our people, those who wish to see us replaced by illegal immigrants and Sharia law-loving brutes. People like this, list of terrorist incidents in New York City. This is her city. These are the people she protects. Islamic terrorists. March 6th, unknown bombing. We know that was Islamic terrorism. May 20th, 2009, Islamic terrorism. May 1st, 2010, Islamic terrorism. October 23rd, 2014, Islamic terrorism. December 20th, 2014, police hate crime. Look at the name. Islamic terrorism. April 2nd, Islamic terrorism. June 13th, Islamic terrorism. September 17th, Islamic terrorism. March 20th, 2017, the only instance that wasn't Islamic terrorism. October 31st, 2017, vehicle ramming. I'm sure you guys remember that. Guy drove down the road killing 8 people. Islamic terrorism. December 11, 2017, attempted suicide attack. Doesn't say it. Look at the name. Islamic terrorism. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 11 of the 12 list of terrorist incidents in New York City. Islamic terrorism. Islamic terrorism. These are the people that she protects, that she wants taking over her city. And so it is no surprise that she's featured in the WomenInIslam.org portfolio, recipient of the 2014 Dr. Betty Shabazz Award. Women in Islam. Public advocate Letitia Tish James was born and raised in blah blah blah. Ms. James was elected in the city council in 2003 when she distinguished herself as a fearless and effective advocate for social and economic justice. Social and economic justice. That's a funny way of saying genocide of your own people. So, let's get back. So, 1994. So she's been in politics in New York City since 1994. 25 years she's been in there. And what does she have to show for it? Except for all of the crime statistics, the 16 murders, the 132 rapes. Oh, that's in a 28-day period. I'm sorry. For the year count, it's the 87 murders, the 569 counts of rape. What does she have to show for it for being a politician in New York for 25 years? Well, congratulations, New York. You're #1 in corruption. And I don't ever use PolitiFact, but you just have to love the irony of when PolitiFact tells you that, yes, New York has more corrupt officials than any other state. And guess why? It's because of people like Letitia James. So, how is she going to protect her people from Donald Trump, the authoritarian, brutal dictator? How is she going to protect her people as an advocate for the people, as the Attorney General who wants to uphold the law? Well, she's going to protect New Yorkers from gun violence. Now, this right here, this is again from the campaign website. This just goes to show that these people are so ideological driven that they can't see the irony in front of them when it's right in front of them. And I want to read you something. 33,000 Americans die each year from gun violence. Approximately 5,500 of these deaths are homicides of young men of color in New York State. There are nearly 3,000 shootings each year. The mass shootings that make the front page of nightly news are devastating, but represent a fraction of the gun violence on our street. That's correct, I agree with that. This violence is devastating our families and communities, and is causing financial ruin to our local economies. It's estimated that gun violence costs New York State $5.6 billion each year. I mean, going straight to the money aspect, you're talking about loss of life. You can't put a monetary value on loss of life, but this is where it gets interesting. New York State has the third lowest rate of gun deaths in the country. Now, she says lowest rate of gun deaths, not lowest rate of gun incidents, of violent incidents involving a gun. It just means that it has third lowest rate of gun deaths. Strict gun control laws in the state have reduced gun violence over the decades, but homicides continue to plague low-income communities of color. Now here it is. New York's gun laws have made it exceedingly difficult to purchase a gun in the state, meaning that when a gun is used to commit a crime in New York, there's a 75% chance that it was originally purchased in another state. In New York City, nearly 90% of crime guns originate elsewhere. You see, she thinks that that is an argument for her case. She looks at that and she says, see, our gun laws are so good that they go to another state to get it. But we look at that and we say, dumbass. That just disproves your argument on gun control. Because when a criminal wants to find a weapon to use in a crime, now he just goes out of state to get it. You're not stopping the crime. You're not stopping the usage of the gun. They're just getting the gun somewhere else. And that is right there the epitome of the gun control debate. Is you think that by outlawing something that criminals are going to follow that law, they're already breaking the law. So what do? They go get the gun from out of state because you make it harder for them to get it in state, and then they bring it back to your state and use it. So you've done nothing to curb the gun violence. You've done nothing to stop it. You just incentivize them to go out of the state. And not only that, but now the actual law-abiding citizens of your state don't have a weapon to defend themselves with, because they're law-abiding. They're not going to go out of state and smuggle a gun into the state to defend themselves. So now the citizens have no weapon to defend themselves with, while the criminals just get the guns from out of state. You don't think that there's organizations and industries that propped up where they sell guns out the back of their car, where they just drive to New Jersey, collect the guns, and then bring them back? You'd have to be ridiculously insane to not believe that. And that sums up the gun debate. That these people, what we see as an example of their idiocy, they pat themselves on the back for. Having strong gun laws in New York State is not enough, particularly with the NRA waging a full-throated propaganda campaign to thwart any common sense gun laws passing at the federal level. Yeah, it's propaganda to want to protect your Second Amendment. And you know what's funny is the NRA makes a lot of concessions. A lot of concessions when it comes to the right to bear arms. So, she's going to protect New Yorkers from gun violence. How is she going to do that? She's going to investigate the NRA's not-for-profit status. She's going to investigate This is an ideological war. She's going to go after the super PAC that protects your right to own a gun, because she doesn't like the idea of people being able to pool their money together, coming together into an organization that fights for your constitutional rights, that protects your rights, because together you're stronger than individually. When you come together and you pool your resources together, you pool your money together, and you form an organization that protects a right, you're going to have a much better chance of protecting that right than if you just tried to individually challenge the court by yourself. So she's going to go after the NRA's not-for-profit status, trying to rob them of their money, trying to bankrupt them. But you know what's ironic about that? Is the Arab Association of New York is a 501(c) charity organization. So the organization with direct ties to Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood, the organization that's funded by the same government that's funding groups to destroy America and Western civilization, well, she's fine with letting them keep their 501(c) nonprofit status. In fact, she'll go and campaign with them. But when it comes to an organization that protects your constitutional rights, she's not okay with that. Just like your Fifth Amendment constitutional right for double jeopardy. Yet she claims that she's the one fighting for your constitutional right. Right here, this is the Arab American Association in New York, and right here, 501c3 organization. I mean, you can't make this up. New York Attorney General Letitia James launches investigation into the NRA. It's a game plan. They want to take away your freedom of speech. They want to take away the value of your vote by replacing you with other people. They want to take away your ability to defend yourself from violent people. They want to allow Muslim patrol cars to be the one who enforces the law. And they want you to have no say about it and to just take it, to just bite down and take it. Because they hate you. They hate you. And here's public advocate Letitia James urges banks to cut ties to the manufacturer of the gun used in the Orlando shooting. James wrote to 6 banks asking them to stop financing Sig-Sauer, the maker of the assault rifle that authorities say shooter Omar Mateen used in the attack that killed 49 people at the Pulse nightclub. So she's trying to intimidate the banks to cut ties with a private organization that creates a tool because some demented Muslim who was a closet homosexual went and murdered 49 people. Now mind you, she's okay protecting these Muslims coming into America. She's okay protecting their rights for Sharia law. She doesn't want to ban the people who commit these crimes. She wants to ban the tool that they use to commit the crime. But I'll tell you what she doesn't ask for. She's not asking to ban rented pickup trucks that Muslims are using to run people down in the streets of New York City. No, you don't see her challenging the Home Depot. You don't see her asking banks to cut ties with the Home Depot or the Toyota pickup trucks that are used to run people over. No, because that doesn't fit her narrative. She's gonna launch investigations into the NRA. She first ran for city council and won on the Working Families Party ballot. Working Families is a minor political party in the United States founded in New York in 1998. It is minor, it is very minor. And she first got into politics by running as a candidate for them. What's interesting about that is it says right here on their About Us what we believe. We believe that our children's life chances must not be determined at birth. And why that's ironic is because Letitia James is a pro-abortion advocate. Hold on. There it is. Reproductive health care. With the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court, access to reproductive health care is in greater peril than ever before. Women are at critical risk of losing protections granted by Roe versus Wade. Safe access to health clinics and access to birth control. What she means is access to have your child murdered in your womb by a doctor. But we believe that our children's life chances must not be determined at birth. She doesn't even believe that their life chances should be determined at all. She doesn't even want there to be a birth. She thinks that the child has no say over whether or not they even get to be birthed. In her mind, even though she ran on the party platform that we believe that our children's life chances must not be determined at birth, she's like, well, fuck that altogether. I think that we should just be able to murder those babies. Here's something that I thought was kind of funny. Councilwoman Letitia James anti-abortion billboard offense. A black New York City councilwoman says an abortion billboard unveiled to coincide with Black History Month is highly offensive. The sign in Manhattan's Soho neighborhood reads, "The most dangerous place for an African American is in the womb." And she is highly offended by that. But you know what's more offensive? What's more offensive is that more than 19 million Black babies have been aborted since the 1973 Roe versus Wade U.S. Supreme Court decision. 19 million. That is literal genocide. You advocate for the genocide of your own people. On average, 900 black babies are aborted every day in the United States. She wants to talk about gun control. She wants to talk about gun control and mass shootings. 900 black babies are aborted every day. 900 murders of babies every single day. That's what I find offensive. That's what I find offensive, is the genocide of your own people. New York Attorney General Letitia James tweeted that the new rule is dangerous and unnecessary, putting millions of Americans at risk. She's talking about the Trump administration bars clinics that provide abortions or abortion referrals from federal funding. Planned Parenthood, which stands to lose $60 million a year, is calling on courts and Congress to block the rule. The Trump administration took aim at Planned Parenthood Friday, issuing a ruling barring groups that provide abortions or abortion referrals from participating in the $286 million federal family planning program. Well, yeah. How are you planning for a family? Are you planning on murdering them? Yeah, I don't think you should get federal funding from taxpayers who think that genocide is wrong. I don't think that their money should be going to fund literal genocide. Literal genocide. Well, she thinks that that's putting millions of Americans at risk. Sort of like the 19 million Americans that you killed. Like that, putting them at risk? That's interesting, Letitia. Another one of her campaign themes, taking on Wall Street abuses. New York City is a center of financial services industry, and New York state laws provide one of the toughest mechanisms for oversight of that sector. As Attorney General, I have both the power and the responsibility to prosecute financial fraud that harms consumers and investors. Vigorously investigate fraudulent business practice by strengthening the Criminal Enforcement and Financial Crimes Bureau. You know what's ironic about this right here? About her pretending to care about financial abuse, of scamming people out of their money? Is how she shamelessly milked the public of $500,000 on election day. Public advocate Letitia James didn't just take $750,000 in public money that she didn't need for her campaign this year. She spent $500,000 of it on election day itself, dumping money she'd otherwise have been obliged to return. Her gaming of the system is arguably worse than Mayor de Blasio's. He at least faced a credible general election challenge. James's little-known public rival J.C. Polanco raised just $26,000, which means she outraced him by 4,000%. Yet still got a bath of taxpayer funds. The law cuts public matching funds by 3/4 if a candidate has no serious opponent, but the legal rules for serious are laughable, merely because Polanco had made many talking head appearances on New York 1 and Univision. James was able to oblige the Campaign Finance Board to pay her the full amount of matching funds. And on election day, she won 74% of the vote to Polanco's 16%, with minor party candidates splitting the rest. Mayor de Blasio pulled much the same scam to collect big cash during the primaries when he had no serious opposition. Comptroller Scott Stringer was the only citywide official to say no to padding his campaign outlays at the public's expense. So what that actually means, what this means is, here, let me read this again from the New York City Campaign Finance Board, how it works. New York City's landmark campaign finance program provides public funds to candidates for city office. Matching funds provide candidates with a strong incentive to finance their campaigns by engaging with average New Yorkers instead of seeking large contributions from special interests. You'd think that would make sense. The program empowers more candidates to run for office, even without access to wealth. Ones who join can build viable competitive campaigns for office by relying on support from their neighbors. The voluntary public financing program matches small dollar contributions from individuals who reside in New York City, helping to amplify the voices of New Yorkers in city elections. A $10 contribution from a New York City resident to a participating candidate in the 2021 elections could be worth as much as $90 to their campaign. So what this means is that New York City thought that they would help enfranchise people running for office who did not have access to the big bankers, the people who had fat wads of cash in their pocket to buy out politicians, which, yeah, in theory that's a great idea, but they actually had an ace up their sleeve and they knew what they were doing. They knew that the majority of the people that would be elected would always be Democrats. Therefore, every time a campaign was donated, money was donated to a campaign, they would match that money. Now, say you have $100 donated to a Republican and $1,000 donated to the Democrat. Well, you match it 100%. So now the Republican has $200 and the Democrat has $2,000. You see how that's unfair? When you have a city where you know the outcome of the election every time, it's not actually fair to match the donations every time because you know that you're always going to be matching the Democrat more than the Republican. It might be a 1-to-1 ratio, but the 1-to-1 ratio doesn't matter when you're talking about a percentage increase, 100% increase more money. That means that the taxpayers of the state of New York or New York City the government is reaching into the money that they pay through their taxes to help finance politicians in their city. And sure, they'll say, well, yes, that money is also going to the Republicans. And I mean, it's not our fault that more people are voting for Democrats than Republicans, but they made this law intentionally knowing that more people vote for Democrats than Republicans in their city. And they would be giving huge amounts of taxpayer money to Democrats running for office, effectively meaning that they're making the citizens of New York pay through their taxes to elect Democratic candidates, giving them much more access to money without having to raise money through other means. They can just take it right from the taxpayers themselves. And what's super messed up about this is you're supposed to turn over the money that you don't spend at the end. Whatever money you don't spend, you give back to the state, and it puts back into that coffer to help the next person come along. But you know what she did? Is on the day of election, out of the $750,000 in public money that she raised, which meant that most of that was matched by the city, by taxpayers. Most of that money didn't actually come from people donating to her, but was matched by the city who collected that money from taxpayers. She spent $500,000 of it on one day. One day. And I think we all know where that money went. It went to lining the purses of everybody who helped get her elected. That is corruption. That is corruption. That is why New York is one of the most corrupt places in the United States of America, has the most corrupt amount of politicians, is because of laws like that and people like her. Now this is I Spy. It shows the contributions and the contributors of all public funding, money, where it comes from. And here is the public fund of $756,000 that we just talked about. And again, most of that money didn't even come from individual people. It came from being matched. Now, you look at the contributors, and the vast majority of them are unions. Unions. I mean, they're pretty much all unions, which makes sense. I mean, unions generally support the Democratic candidates. That's just how it goes. And the ones that aren't unions, there's some individual contributors here and there. But I found two interesting contributors. One, the Greenberg-Traurig LLP. Now, Greenberg-Traurig is an international law firm founded in Miami, Florida. Approximately 2,000 attorneys worldwide. The largest office is in New York City. In 2017, they made $1.4 billion in revenue. Now, what is a law firm with 2,000 people, 2,000 attorneys with the largest office in New York City donating money to the campaign of the upcoming Attorney General of New York? What do they have to gain from that? What are they hoping to gain from that? Who are they, and what is their what is their stake in all of it? And I was digging around a little bit and found this website. Only a handful of lawyers at this firm support Donald Trump, and one of them is Rudy Giuliani. Now, this is the law firm we just talked about, Greenberg and Schwartz. Lawyers from this firm have donated only $212 to the Trump campaign. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump may have thought that having a big law partner serve as one of his top campaign surrogates would have been an ace up his sleeve. Alas, it doesn't seem like many people at his firm subscribe to the same conservative beliefs, and even if they do, it very well may be Trump who they don't believe in. Rudy Giuliani, who left Maxwell and Giuliano this past January to join Greenberg Traurig, where he serves as global chair of the firm's cybersecurity, privacy, and crisis management practice, isn't finding himself in good political company at his new firm. According to campaign contribution data from Open Secrets, individuals employed by Greenberg Traurig have made 186 donations to Hillary Clinton this election cycle. By contrast, 5 have given to Donald Trump. Among the top dollar Clinton supporters, Global Practice Chair James Backus, Senior Chairman Matthew Gorson, Technology Practice Head Alan Sutton, and Litigation Superstar Lori Cohen, who all maxed out at $2,700 apiece in direct contributions. So did 42 other Greenberg lawyers. These are people who maxed out their donations to Clinton. He says, it's not as if the donors are all knee-jerk liberals. Partner Barry Richard, who in 2000 represented George W. in the Florida litigation to determine the presidency, gave Clinton $2,700 in April 27th. So, yeah, it's not that you're knee-jerk liberals, it's just that possibly you all support the same types of people. Bushes, Clintons, McCain's, Obamas, they're all the same people. The Romneys. In all, Clinton has collected more than $180,000 in direct donations from people at Greenberg Traurig. Compare that to Trump's biggest donation from anyone at the firm, $80 from litigation partner Roger Kaplan, and another $80 from tax of counsel John Prusecki. In total, Trump has collected $212 from 5 Greenberg Traurig employees, compared to the $180,000 Clinton got. Now, this is where Rudy Giuliani was formerly working at before he moved to the Trump campaign. I went to their Twitter, Greenberg Traurig LLP, and they got some recent tweets, and they keep mentioning this program, Outleader. Congratulations to Outleadership on their summit this week. We're proud to serve as one of 2 global sponsors. CEO Brian Duffy serves on the Global Advisory Board, shareholder John Richards serves on the Outleadership Council. Both are speaking at select events. So, Greenberg Traurig is one of 2 global sponsors for this organization, Outleadership. I went to them, trying to figure out who they are. The Global LGBT Business Network, trusted by CEOs of multinational companies to drive quality forward. And they got a website, and you go to their website, and who's there? Eric Holder himself, Jonathan Capehart, The Washington Post, and Eric Holder, 82nd Attorney General of the United States at Outleadership's 2017 U.S. Summit. Now, this was Obama's Attorney General before Loretta Lynch. And here he is at the Outleadership, a keynote speaker for this company. And this company is being sponsored by only one of 2 global sponsors, by the Greenberg Traurig law firm, who just so happens to donate money to Letitia James' campaign. Now, I don't know what that means, but it does get your head scratching. It makes you wonder. Clintons are well known for their pay-to-play schemes, and this could be very, very well another example of that. Now, I would like for those of you out there watching to perhaps do a little bit more digging yourself, because there is something fishy going on here. Now, in addition to that, to the Greenberg Traurig, everything else seems just pretty normal, all union. And then I saw this, the Federal Express FedEx. I'm like, why the fuck is FedEx maxing out their contribution to Letitia James' campaign as well. I'll do a little bit of research on FedEx. FedEx CEO Fred Smith slams Donald Trump's trade proposals. Thinking, what? Donald Trump has done a lot since the election to assuage corporate America's fears of his presidency. He's named Wall Streeters, including just the Goldman Sachs, Gary Cohn, C-suite's big wigs, blah, blah, blah. Right here, the CEO of FedEx on Friday made a strongly worded critique of Trump and his trade policy. He said getting rid of NAFTA, a trade agreement with Canada and Mexico that Trump has called the single worst trade deal ever approved in this country, would be catastrophic for the U.S. economy. He argued that Trump should be very careful in managing the nation's relationship with China. Smith said NAFTA makes the U.S. $127 billion richer each year and is the basis for 14 million American jobs. It sounds to me like FedEx has a stake in NAFTA. FedEx CEO Fred Smith visits Trump Tower to meet President-elect. FedEx Corporation CEO Frederick Smith met with President-elect Donald Trump on November 17th in New York. Smith is not considered a candidate for an administrative post, although the meeting came as Trump was vetting candidates for his administration, according to the Memphis, Tennessee-based package delivery company. FedEx has been strongly committed to the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which opposes the deal, which Trump opposes. The deal is awaiting approval by Congress and other participating nations. So here we got a guy, the CEO of FedEx, who clearly is a big proponent of NAFTA, whose business, whose billions of dollars he makes every year, is clearly tied up somehow into the North American Free Trade Agreement. And he's invested in that. And he doesn't like that Trump ended it. He hates it. He's losing money because of it. And here he is donating money to Letitia James' campaign finances, whose sole job, it seems, is going to be to bring down the Trump presidency. Now again, I'm just trying to connect some dots here. I'm not making any direct insinuations, but it seems very fishy. Letitia James subpoenas bank for Trump's organization records. So, you see, her entire existence is going to be about taking Donald Trump down. She's propped up by very powerful people, all who have vendettas against Trump. She's part of the swamp, and she's going after everything she can to bring Trump down. Even so much as joining a motion to stop Trump from rerouting billions for border, something she has no business about. As the Attorney General of New York, she has no jurisdiction at all about what Donald Trump does for national security on the southern border. It is not anywhere near her purview nor prerogative. Yet here she is, joining a motion to stop Trump from rerouting billions for the border wall. Shouldn't she be doing her job? What is her job? Who got her that job? And what is the real end goal of her and her puppet masters in this job? So, finally just end it with this old picture from October 6, 2008 with Letitia James standing next to her friend Anthony Weiner, convicted sex offender, and at the time Councilman Bill de Blasio, who later became Mayor Bill de Blasio. Remember folks, it's all a club and you're not a part of it. It's all a big, big club and you're not a member. It's them versus you. And they hate you.
I, Letitia James, solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York
and the Constitution of the State of New York
and the Charter of the City of New York
and the Charter of the City of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of
Public Advocate
of
the City of New York to the best of my ability.
I pledge to work cooperatively with all of my colleagues and build real consensus Indeed, moving New York forward will take hard work and a joint determination. Of course, if working people aren't getting their fair share, if our government isn't securing the reforms New Yorkers were promised, you better believe Dasani and I will stand up. That all of us will stand up and call out anyone and anything that stands in the way of our progress.